Hey, what's happening? This is Rodzilla, the Black Academic, the hip hop griot out here to set the black people free. Here with you one more again, Washington, D.C., Robert and Arlene Courtyard in the Smithsonian. We're here with a fabulous spoken word artist, singer, vocalist, chef, ItsReaLight. How you doing, sis?
Peace, I'm good.
Good to have you here.
Oh,
What
man.
brings you out here to Washington, D.C.?
Well, it's Chocolate City. Chocolate always bring me back. But no, I really came out here to perform and to do my waffles also. It's the first time I'm traveling to do that. But, D.C. in itself has always been like kind of an escape for me. Like when I grew up in New York, and that's what we came to. We came to D.C. You know, we came to the museums. We came to visit my auntie that used to live out. I don't even know if she still live out here. But D.C.'s definitely has this vibe of love that I always love coming back to.
So your name is ItsReaLight. Tell us about that name. How did you get it? How did it come about?
Well, I'd have to say divine intervention. You know, I was thinking one day about the Israelites biblically and how when coming up in church, they always told us they were God's chosen people. The one thing they never said, though, is what they were chosen for. So in paying attention to their story, knowing that God was with them all the time, to the fact that he even rained food from the sky for them, they still sinned, you know. And to me, there's nothing realer than that, you know, than knowing that you're a sinner and still have to deal with humanistic things, even though you're chosen. So Israelites as God's chosen, me saying I'm chosen because the generation before me on my mother's side were all artists. But no one really took it and packaged it or tried to do anything with it. So it's kind of, I feel like God blessed me with all the gifts that they didn't do anything with in order for me to do it. So now I package it and I deliver it, you know what I'm saying? And you know, the Israelites were nomadic people. You know, Israel is one of the youngest countries alive. So the Israelites themselves traveled, they kept moving. And I'm just a person that like to be nomadic and keep it moving. So it works.
Right on. Is that the only name that you go by, or?
Well, you know, my biological or my government name, the name my mama gave me is Natasha Leonora Spence, and I'm just as proud as that as I am as Israelite. Just when you hear Natasha Spence, you don't really differentiate me though. Israelite kind of gives you an idea of where I'm coming from.
Right.
So that's why I like, you know,
ItsReaLight.
that name. Yeah.
Indeed. Tell us about your metamorphosis or your introduction to art. Did you first start off with spoken word? As you say, your family are a bunch of artists. What aesthetic were they? Were they spoken word artists or poets or writers? Or?
Well, it was a mixture. My mother was a singer. One of my youngest memories was being a baby in church and her singing, and I can't remember the notes or anything, but I remember that there was never a dry eye, you know. There was, like, she provoked an emotion when she sang. That's what I remember. But I'd have to say, I mean, I've been singing since I could remember, but I'm an 80s baby. Dancing was our thing, you know, getting in that circle. I used to be able to spin on my head when I was 4 years old. Try that now. But so poetry didn't come till actually much later, 97. That's when I discovered poetry for myself. I always read. I was always a reader. I understood poetry, but I never took myself to be a poet until an English teacher in my school, black English teacher. My school, I was in Denver, Colorado, or Aurora, so my school was white. Let's keep that all the way real. But she was never actually my teacher, but we made her the advisor for the multicultural club in our school. And I said made her because me and a friend of mine, Brandon Michaud, we started the multicultural clubs in our middle school and in our high schools. But I used to take my English papers to her before I turned them in, so she saw my creative writing in my essays and said that I should go ahead and put in for this multicultural poetry contest that they had in 97, spring of 97. And I wrote something that I thought was, you know, rhymey and hickory-dickory-dock and turned it in and got first place. And because I know poetry, I read the other poems, and I was like, oh, I'm a poet, you know. And then from there, it just kind of took it by the reins and ran with it. But it wasn't until 2001 that I realized that this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is being a full-time artist and doing everything I can as an artist. And I'm proud to say today that that's exactly what I'm doing.
Right on, sis. Right on. So tell us, when did you find your actual style? When did you say, okay, this is, because when we first start out, again, it's the bells and whistles that we first heard or read, and there's so much of that influence. And it takes usually a lot of people a while to evolve into, you know, the style which they're known for. So did you have a aha moment, or did you just, like, you know, stream into it?
I think everything for me has been a high moment, pun intended. But it's like between 97 and 2001, I was dealing with a lot of, this is not really poetry because we could hear your voice. And I'm like, okay. And then spoken word came to me when I watched Slam. I realized that, oh, what I'm doing is spoken word and poetry, or the poetic form of spoken word. Right. And I think watching the movie Slam with Saul Williams is what really embarked me on knowing that this is what I was doing, you know, because I'd be in poetry chat rooms and typing up freestyle poems and all of that, and it'd be like, I don't think that's really poetry because it's like you're talking, you know. So I've always dealt with some kind of challenge, but as an artist, we're always growing and finding out what's new with ourselves. Like now, I'm feeling an older, ancestral type of self when I'm spitting, in comparison to before. It was more theater, because I was in theater before I knew poetry, and so I combined the two. So now it's just it's conversational, but it's more than just conversational. But it's like I realize that when I come before my audiences, they don't too much need the stars and the spangles and the banners, you know what I mean?
Right.
They just just give it to me straight, what's going on, you know what I mean? So what I did learn about my style though is being able to teach without using such large words or words, things that they may not understand, but opening the portal for them to go and look it up.
When you say they,
I mean just the general audience, because a lot of times you get poets that go up there, and not bashing them, but they come up with dictionaries of words and they lose their audience. I figured out a way to still make it entertaining so that they're listening, because that's important. The average human, we only got 8 seconds of an attention span.
Indeed.
And we got 3-minute poems. How many 8 seconds is that to try and keep them? So to me, I realized that it was a struggle at first, entertaining and edutaining, you know what I'm saying? So, but I realized that it's prevalent in order for people to listen and want to know. Same with the products, you know, your CD. You know, you don't want to be babbling on your CD. You might be able to babble in front of somebody, but now your physical self is not there. They don't have anything to attain but what you're giving them. So
good. When you talk about teaching,